welcome to this, the second of my build videos on the Tamiya TT02 Type S chassis. We're going to start this one off with parts bag B on step 10, but before we do, here's a little glimpse of where we got to last time. We installed the prop shaft and the motor and the front and rear differentials, so that's that done. Now we get into the hop-up options that you get as standard in this kit, starting off with the front arms, as they're calling it, which are the lower wishbones as far as I'm concerned. And just before we get into that, this is the difference. This is the standard lower front wishbone from the stock TT02 chassis, and this is the one we've got, and as you can see it's a lot longer, and you'll notice that these mount plastic on plastic. They do still fit because this is a stock chassis, so it would normally go in there like that, but we can chuck that because we've got these hop-ups which are not only longer, we've got steel ball connectors to go on them, we've got steel rods for the mounting system, we've got these, what do they call them, suspension shaft adapters, which are the bits that will fit into the plastic, and we've got some BB13s which they call in flanged tubes, all to put on together. So we'll get cracking, and it's quite an easy process. There is one note that tells you to make a note of the direction because these are reversible. What does it say? Reversible suspension arms included. Checking the positions of BB7, the 5mm ball connector, carefully. And according to the diagram, it goes in the outer one of the 2-hole one. So I'll get cracking because I can quickly show you that the rods just poke through. Oops, like so. These shaft adapters have a small hole in one end and a larger one that fits over the tube, so that limits the travel. And then these flanged, whatever they are called, tubes just fit over the other end like so, and it all fits in hunky-dory like that. So I'll get them made up and we'll put the ball joint in there and we can move on to step 11. Okay, so once you've put those rods in and the ball joints, we can move to step 11, which is installing them into the front of the chassis. As you can see, I've already put one in. It's fairly easy, this bit, and the second one simply slots in to the chassis there like so. We've then got this piece here which is BB27, which is steel brace, I would imagine. I don't know if they give it a name. Oh yeah, front suspension plate, and that should hold the two suspension bars like that, nice and level. And then we need BB8, which will simply fix in there, and we need the two longer BB3s in the front. Oops. Just start that off. And then we've got two BB4 which are countersunk. Oh, it's not going up. in the bottom here. And one there. And the other longer one somewhere there. So I'll get them tightened up and we can see what else we've got to do. Probably the back end. Steps 12 and 13 are installing the rear lower A-arms or wishbones, and in this kit again we've got these upgraded longer parts and steel bits, but also they've designed this to give the wheels a 3-degree toe in at the back, and they've done this in a combination of this piece here, which they've labelled rear suspension shaft adapter again, but as you see it's like a ball joint, and then this bar here, which I believe you may be able to get different widths of this so that you can have 2 degrees of toe in or no toe in. But I haven't looked at that, so I don't know, but the distance between these two holes is going to give us the 3 degrees of toe in with this ball joint. So I'm not sure if it'll show up very well, but if we pop this into the chassis, you should be able to see that it rotates. It's not a tight fit, so it can be moved out like so, but I'll show you that once I get them all put together. And again, there's a note telling you to note the direction of the wishbone and the position of the ball joint connector, and in this instance again it's on the 2-hole side, but this instance it's on the inside. And when you're mounting them with the chassis upside down, then the ball joints should be pointing towards yourself. So I'll just quickly stick it all together. We've got these nice blue anodized spacers. I think this might be a bit trickier because of these adapters here. Oops, that'll do, that way round. And the spacer, and we can pop that in. And as usual, because I'm on camera, something doesn't go right. And then we should be able to pop that over that one and line the other hole up. It says it's not lining up. There we go. And then I think the tricky thing's going to be is lining everything up. So just this once we're going to try. It's not going to work, I know it's not going to work. Do you know what, I'm not even going to bother. I'm going to do it off camera because I'm just going to struggle trying to do this in front of the camera. And step 14, we're still on the hop-ups. In this instance it's the front FRP damper stay, and I've already put most of the ball joints on, and we've just got one more to go. Again, there's a note about the default positioning of these ball joints, but as you can see on the front there are 3 potential positions for the top one, which I think are the shock mounts, and there are 2 for the bottom one, which I believe are the upper turnbuckles. And there's no note about using thread lock on these, but it is a ball connector with a thread and a screw. Oh, lost my screw. So I am going to use a bit of thread lock. I don't tend to use much unless I squeeze a bit too hard for half an hour. Just enough, I hope, so that it doesn't vibrate loose, but not enough so that it's too tight, because this is the high strength thread lock, which, to be honest, when I first bought it I didn't actually realise that you could get different strengths. There we go. That's that made, and then we just need check the orientation. So we've got the upper ball joints pointing forwards, and then it just slots in there with these two screws. One and two, and then we can carry on with the next step, which again is still the hop up steering C-hubs and knuckles. 15 is the front axles. First up is you have to drill a 2.5mm hole in the C-hub, and I've got my little hand drill here because it doesn't take much to get through. In fact, I just push that through. That's how easy it is, and then I try and go through just to see, give it a blow. So that's that bit ready. The next step is building up the front upper arms or turnbuckles, and these drawings are 1-to-1, so you don't need any special measuring stuff. Just make a note of the direction or the orientation of the ball cups ready, and also the little adjuster nuts on the bars. So this is the left side and this is the right side, so that's all ready to go. We've then got the whatever these are called, the wheel carriers or the axle carriers and the steering hubs, and as you can see I've already put the ball joint on with the 3mm spacer. And just before we continue, this is what you get with the stock TT02. As you can see, it's a lot different than this. So there we go. But hey, I've now got some spares for my other TT02 with the Lancia Delta. This is one I made earlier in the good old Blue Peter tradition, and we then need the C-hub and all these other bits and pieces. We need the wheel axle and an O-ring to go in there. So, and then we can get the I can't remember what bearing that is, the 1050 bearing. Pop it on the axle, pop it in the stub axle carrier steering thing, and then I'm just borrowing an R-clip just so that stays in place. And then we come on to building up the carrier. So in this we've got a BB13 and a BB14, and it is important you get these round in the wrong. And it is important that you get these in the right way round. Right, there's a slight difference, maybe 0.5 mm in the length of these, So the longer one should go in the bottom. There we go. And then because this top one does slip out, I'm going to put a bit of grease just to try and hold it in place. Right, so these all stay in like so, and then what we need to do is somehow, and I think I'm going to try a bit of grease on here, not to lubricate it, but to hold this 0.7mm shim, which is the silver one in your box of bits. And this might work, it might not. And then you get your carrier or your C-hub, and hopefully we can just squeeze it in like so. And then work it round so that the ball joint seats and starts to screw in. And then on the bottom we've got this countersunk screw, and again we need to line that up. And screw that in. And boy, that's close. This axle doesn't need to move out much to stop it from turning, so we'll have to see how we go with that, but hey, there we go. I'll finish tightening that off and we can move on. 16 is attaching the front axles, and I've already done one side here, but once I've done it, the lower travel only went to about there. So now I've got a bit more, and to do that, what I've done, if you can see here, is I've hacked away some of this strengthening beam here, so that when this is in here it has a bit more room to travel. So once we get to the back, I'll have a look and show you what I mean if I have to do that again, but I'm not sure with the back. Anyway, we'll carry on. So another improvement on this is that you get these suspension bars here, and we have to line it up with the grub screw. If you notice, there's a little flat cut out on it, so we line that up with the grub screw, and then once we've got the bar in place, there we go, it's going in. We can get our Allen key and tighten that up to hold the bar in place. And then the other bit is we've got this urethane bushing that goes into the gearbox output, and just push that down, and then fit the dog bone into the wheel axle, and then we can bring that up, pop it in, and then get the turnbuckle lined up, and fairly easy clicks into place, and that's that done. And there we can see the extra think it was about level was the most it would travel down. So I think I've got another couple of 3mm travel there, but we'll see when we get to the suspension or the shocks. So we can move on to the next stage. Now we've got the front suspension mounted. I think I'm going to leave it there for this video, and we can start again on the next one where we finish off the rear suspension and see how we get on from there. So I hope you've enjoyed this, and look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.